Episode 4 of the TC Pride Podcast.
Today, as Americans, we grieve the brutal murder, a horrific massacre of dozens of innocent people. We pray for their families who are grasping for answers with broken hearts. We stand with the people of Orlando who have endured a terrible attack on their city. This is an especially heartbreaking day for all of our friends, our fellow Americans who are lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. So this is a sobering reminder that attacks on any American, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, or sexual orientation, is an attack on all of us and on the fundamental values of equality and dignity that define us as a country. In the face of hate and violence, we will love one another. We will not give in to fear or turn against each other. Instead, we will stand united as Americans to protect our people and defend our nation and to take action against those who threaten us.
TC Pride Podcast on location at Loring Park on this very sad day. I'm here with
Monica Meyer. I'm the executive director of Outfront Minnesota.
And Monica, could you please briefly share some of your feelings about the events that took place this weekend?
It's just so heartbreaking. You think about how right now people are celebrating Stonewall and Pride Month, and it's a tragedy. It's heartbroken for the families, heartbroken for our whole country actually too. And you know what I think about is, so what are we doing? What can we do to come together so people don't feel isolated, and that we can mourn together, and we can really speak out for love. We can speak out against violence, and really join together so that we can band and find our commonality and our community around really working for a Minnesota we know we can live in, which is one where all lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Minnesotans are affirmed, that all LGBTQ people can thrive in our state.
Thank you very much, Monica, for your time.
Thanks.
TC Pride Podcast on location here at Loring Park on this very sad day. I'm here with, what's your name, please?
My name is Cadence.
And I noticed that you have a couple little ones with you here today, and I was just kind of wondering why you felt it was so important to bring your entire family and the little ones with you today to this event.
Sure. For me, it was really important because, how to even describe it? Like, when I saw the news on Facebook, on social media, it was devastating that people can be targeted for such stupid reasons. And I have two little kids who have to grow up in this world, and two little kids who I have no idea who they're going to be, and I don't want to change who they're going to be or put anything on them, and I want them to be whoever they want to be. And so I sat them down and I said to them, 50 people were killed for who they love today. And that's never okay. Nobody should ever be killed for who they love. And so we're going to go out and we're going to stand in solidarity with them. And I said to my son Kai, he has his best friend in the whole world, and they talk about how they're going to get married. And I said, if you got married, this could be you. And he just looked on his face, and he was like, what? And that was where it was so hard for me to try to tell my children that there's so much hate in the world. And if me being here and standing vigil can help to change and bring solidarity and just be a little tiny thing to make the world better for all of our children, then that's what I want to do.
This is Ben Riggs. I'm the artistic director of Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus.
And Ben, could you just briefly share some of your feelings about the events that took place this weekend, please?
Oh, my God. The tragedy to wake up this morning and to hear about it, and to go to church and be surrounded by some amazing people who were deeply concerned and very supportive, reconciling United Methodist to the church I attend, was very good for me. But then to come home and hear that the numbers had increased to those that we lost, it's just been hanging over me all day long. And when we all started hearing about the chorus members, hearing about this vigil that was going to be held tonight, several members reached out to me to say, is there anything we can do? Can we have a presence there? And we spoke with out front, and we're just really happy to gather here tonight and be here. We canceled a small ensemble rehearsal because this is, really more important for us to have a presence and to help all of the members of the chorus who are dealing with stuff have some healing, and hopefully pass that along to everybody who's gathered.
Jennifer Houston with Outfront, Minnesota. We have a heavy heart today after the loss of so many lives, LGBTQ and allied community members in Orlando, Florida, over this heinous and senseless act of violence against our community. And we've come together and organized today with Outfront Minnesota and our community in Minnesota in order to demonstrate our strength and solidarity and coming together as a collective voice to say that we are opposed to violence of any kind against our community members.
TC Pride Podcast on location in Loring Park on this very sad day. I am here with
Javen Swanson
and
Dwayne Davis of All God's Children Metropolitan Community Church.
And gentlemen, could you maybe just share some of your feelings about the events that took place this weekend?
Yeah, where to begin? I had the opportunity this morning to be with the folks in Golden Valley at their first annual Pride Festival. So I woke up ready to go preach over there and be full of joy as they were embarking on this new thing there. And this was the first news I woke up to this morning, and it certainly changed the tenor of Pride. It changed how I approached worship today. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Well, all week I had been preparing to speak to my congregation this morning about how resilient we are. I have a Pride Month sermon series, and I go through every Sunday talking about our history and our future and our struggle for equality. And I had been spending time with Paul's second letter to the Corinthians, in which he talked about the persecution and affliction that he endured, but also claiming that he was not crushed or destroyed. And so when I woke up this morning to hear the news about the shooting in Orlando, it gave that sermon a little bit more punch through a lot of concern about my people, but I wanted to really make the case that we are familiar with persecution and affliction. It continues even today, whether it be bathroom bills or any other anti-gay law, but we're resilient and we fight back and we stand up and we're not going back into anybody's closets no matter what happens.
State Representative Phyllis Kahn, District 60B. Well, it's obviously just so sad. It's so heartbreaking for all of us to think about it. And it's, the words that we've heard here tonight of everyone saying how they can barely get up, keep crying through the day, and so forth. But it's, again, pride is the right word to use. I take pride in this community. I take pride in what this community has done. I take pride in what my fellow legislators did at the cost of some of them not getting reelected, in terms of being the first state to ever by law authorize marriage between a man and a man, a woman and a woman, and so forth. So, we just must go on. It's hard to go on, but we must go on.
I'm Mayor Chris Coleman from St. Paul. Well, just shattered the calm of a nice Sunday morning, and just talking with folks and saying the last thing that we imagined we were going to have to be is together here in Loring Park to stand in solidarity with each other. It's so sad on so many different levels. On listening to the anguish cries of parents that don't know what happened to their child, to the hatred that was expressed in this act today. It's words can't describe it, but I'm so happy to see everybody here in unity.
Roxanne Anderson. I don't even know if I have the words to really describe. As I was speaking with the other co-Grand Marshal, D. Rojas, we were expressing how sad and tragic the events are, and Dee was hoping and wishing that they could be here, but had other obligations. And I think that what happened today in the park was a beautiful celebration as we prepare for our own Pride celebration here in the Twin Cities. I think it's important to recognize and remember that even though there's 1,000 people here today, that many folks weren't feeling safe to come, and that a lot of the folks that lost their lives and experienced trauma this morning in Orlando are people of color. And I think it's really, really important for us to remember that people of color still continue to be the most marginalized folks in our community.
Yeah, my name is Gabrielle Ralstead. It's very unfortunate that certain communities get targeted, and not just, LGBT, it happens all the time. There's discrimination against people who are different than themselves, and it's unfortunate that it's still going on in the United States. We are coming a long ways, but there's still a long ways to go, and it's unfortunate that it just continues to happen. I think big changes need to still be progressing, and hopefully we can get to a point where we don't have to be worried about going out in public and being who we are, and we're able to live comfortably. I think Minneapolis is a great place for that, but unfortunately, it can happen anywhere, and until we can do something about it and get people to be more open-minded, I think it's still a big issue we have.
Ren Rushold. A lot of the feelings that I had were at first a lot of anger and a lot of really misplaced rage towards a community that didn't deserve it. And I had to check myself into a state of mind to understand that, you can't put all the blame on one group of people, that the person who did this needed help, not to persecute anybody else. He needed mental help. And after that, it was just more sadness towards us as a community and how far we come. It's always 3 steps forward, 2 steps back.
Thank you very much for sharing. And also, I noticed you're carrying a big rainbow flag around with you. What was it that inspired you to do that this evening? And maybe what is the significance of it to you?
The significance to it to me is that I'm not afraid, and I never will be. And I will always gladly carry this flag to represent not only myself, but every person in the LGBTQ community. And we will never hide. We will never be afraid again.
Heidi Brennigan. Well, I'm shocked and horrified, as a great deal in this people in this country are. I actually was at Pulse in Orlando in January, and I identify as a heterosexual individual. I went there to dance. I found it to be a wonderful, welcoming place. It was a very small bar, and I was probably one of the only heterosexual individuals in the entire place, but I was welcomed like a member of the family. And these were kids. These were young gay men who were just there to have a good time. And when I heard the news this morning and realized that this was a place that I had spent 3 nights at in January, I've been crying all day. I'm horrified because I feel like I've lost someone that I've known. Today I am with Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in Minnesota, and we are a group that has been working to get the criminal background checks law passed in the state of Minnesota. Currently, you only have to undergo a criminal background check if you go to a gun shop and purchase a gun there. You can go to a private seller on Craigslist and buy a gun the next day, or get a gun out of the trunk of someone's car, and it's unacceptable and it's inconsistent, and we're trying to keep guns out of the hands of people who shouldn't have them, like felons and known domestic abusers, and so that's what we're here today, is talking to people about that issue.
Representative Jason Isaacson. Still processing that. It wasn't just that there was a shooting, which always kind of hits you in the core, but it was also that the sheer volume was just shocking, And so the minute I heard we were doing a little vigil here to talk about this, I knew we needed to be with people that are feeling the same way. And, this is part of what the healing process is all about. It's getting together, it's remembering that you're not alone and that you're here to help other people and trying to be of service. And if an elected official can show up and give a little comfort, then that's part of our job, I guess, right?
Josh Vining.
Jeff Heine.
Well, I think it's a senseless tragedy. it makes me very sad to know that something like this goes on still in today's day and age. And I wanted to come down because I'm a part of the Twin Cities Gay Men's Choir, and I wanted to be with my brothers down here and hopefully sing for people and try to contribute and make things a little bit better.
Well, when I woke up this morning, I was on my way to Golden Valley Pride, to the first Golden Valley Pride, and I had just saw briefly that something had happened, but hadn't really followed up too much on it. So, I mean, I was planning on spending the day celebrating the community at this brand new festival, and then as the day went on, we started hearing more and more about what had happened down in Orlando, and I agree with Josh. It's just very, very senseless. It's just hard. So difficult to wrap your head around what happened. This happens just far too often. And I don't care how you define it, as a hate crime, as an act of domestic terrorism. I just wish we'd spend less time trying to define these acts and actually try to do something about it.
Kim Graff.
Robbie Graff. AJ Graff.
And Kim, I'm walking around the park here, and I'm noticing that you have some of the younger attendees with you here. Can you tell me why did you feel it was important to bring your family here with you today to this event?
Well, one of the main reasons is I am bisexual, and so it's something that we talk about in our family a lot. One of our kids is gender nonconforming, transgender, so that also brings it up. But they have actually been going to Pride since I think Robbie was 4. So we've been to events. I spent last week, I work for the ONA Coalition, which is the Open and Affirming Coalition of the United Church of Christ. And we spent last week in a LGBTQ conference, an annual conference up in St. Joseph, reaffirming our place as people of faith and as people who are LGBTQ. And to come back and wake up this morning and this is what had happened is just very disheartening. So we wanted to be out here.
Josie Petermeyer, and I'm with Roman Catholic Women Priests and Compassion of Christ Catholic Community. And I just think it was really terrible what happened in so many ways for the gay community there in Orlando, as well as for the Muslim community, because so much is going to be a kickback effect on them too. So it's a sad day for all of us.
Monique Venny, co-pastor, Compassion of Christ Catholic Community. I am here to show solidarity with my gay brothers and sisters. I just want them to know that there are straight people who are grieving along with them.
Angie Craig. I'm running for Congress in the 2nd Congressional District of Minnesota. Well, it's such an immense tragedy for everyone, and I think that the events themselves really transcend race, religion, class, and that we really have to come together to make certain that tragedies like this don't happen over and over again.
Randy Gehring.
And Randy, I noticed you're putting together the candles for the candlelight vigil tonight. What was it that inspired you to do that this evening?
Well, I woke up this morning, found out the news, and it rocked me. Very difficult day for a lot of people. And I went to go and buy candles, and I realized how difficult it was to find candles, and I knew people weren't going to have them tonight. So I just figured I'd pack up a bunch and bring them on out.
My name is Sister Gertha Rotunda of the Ladies of the Lakes Mission House of the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. You know, there are so many buzzwords that are going around right now. I mean, I don't know where to begin. I can tell you how I feel right now. And I think a lot of the other people that are out here as well, is just lost right now.
TC Pride Podcast on location in Loring Park on this very sad day. I'm here with Dee Rojas, one of the co-grand marshals of the 2016 Twin Cities Pride Festival. Hi, Dee.
Hi.
And Dee, could you please share some of your feelings about some of the tragic events that occurred this weekend?
Yes, a very sad day here in the Twin Cities. I'm also an Igbo bowler and International Gay Bowling Organization, and my concern is I haven't really heard if there's any gay bowlers that were any of the victims, and just kind of worried for everybody. I just arrived here at the event. I arrived late, but it's overwhelming here. It's a great turnout for tonight's event, and just a great turnout.
My name is Beth Zemsky, and I am on the National Council of the National Gay, Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender, Queer Task Force. Well, I just have overwhelming sadness. We've been through this so many times before, both as Americans and, frankly, as LGBT people, whether it's been our fight against the silence about HIV, the murders of trans folks, the racism of LGBT people of color, and now this. I mean, this is not an incident that happened out of nowhere. It's an incident that happened that's been building, and that the kind of hate that's gone in the United States has been given license to. And the event tonight was incredibly powerful. If there was only one thing that was missing for me tonight, it was not necessarily recognizing that there are LGBT people in every single land that ISIS currently occupies that is being murdered every single day by the same ideology that murdered the people in Orlando. There are queer Muslims in these countries who are being thrown off roofs because of their sexuality. And so I think we need to remember not just the Muslim community in the United States we have to stand with, but our queer folks in all of those countries that ISIS is occupying, and hold them in our hearts today as well.
Meir Bargeron from Shir Tikva congregation in Minneapolis. Well, it's been an excruciatingly painful day. To the loss, the layers of hate that we saw played out today. But what has been amazing is how people came together tonight in Loring Park. People from many different faith traditions, no tradition at all. People who were angry, who were visibly upset, all finding a space here in order to be together and provide support during this really, really difficult, horrible day.
I'm here with
Marie.
And Marie, I noticed you have some of the younger attendees at the event with you tonight, and I was wondering why you felt it was so important to bring the little ones out to this event with you this evening.
Yeah, it was definitely important, since this event is a way to show them that people come together in times of heartbreak. And when I'm feeling down and, potentially losing faith in other humans, I thought if it's going to help me, it's going to help them too.
And I'm here with
Tessa Miller.
And I noticed that you have some of the younger attendees with you here, and your family at the event with you. Why did your family feel it was so important to bring the little ones with you today to this event?
Well, we definitely feel like equality should start young. They should definitely be aware of what's going on in the world, and I mean that they're seeing that the equality is strong here, and I mean they'll spread it throughout when they grow up.
Tyler Sitt. And I'm with New City Church, which is a United Methodist church. What a tragedy for our country, and what a grief in the heart of God. I think this display of violence shows that homophobia is deeply embedded within the American fabric, just as much as racism and other types of oppression. That gay marriage did not get rid of homophobia, and we need to continue to unite as a community to stand up against all forms of oppression, including homophobia, but also racism. I think it's significant that this was a Latino night for the nightclub, and I think we have to acknowledge, as many communities, that fighting for LGBT rights means fighting for Latino rights, means fighting for undocumented rights.
Mike Griffin, I'm the field director with Neighborhoods Organizing for Change, or NOC. Well, I think this morning was definitely difficult. It was hard. It took a couple hours for it to sink in exactly what was happening. And when it hit me that one of the worst, or the worst, mass murders in American history via gun violence happened to queer folks. But not only queer folks, it was predominantly queer folks of color. And me and my identity, being both queer and a person of color, it hit me really, really hard.
And how does it feel to have seen such a huge outpouring of support in Loring Park tonight?
Huge outpouring. I would say maybe over 1,000 people came with very little notice, standing in solidarity. It just definitely gives me hope. And I think what also gives me hope are the young queer people of color who are standing up and are with the courage to come out to their family and their friends. Still in the face of this tragedy, I think it's awesome.
Erin May Quaid, candidate for State House in 57A. That's Apple Valley and a little bit of Lakeville. I mean, the events of this weekend were horrifying, and gun violence is pervasive in our entire country, and we really have a lot of work to do to end the violence, but to also end discrimination and hate that is perpetrated in this kind of violence. And I just wanted to come together tonight to bring a lot of love. I was talking to a little girl, and I said, we're going to come together tonight for love. And she said, that makes so much sense because the world kind of was made because we all got together and it was love, and then went bam, and then there was love everywhere. And I said, that's exactly what the world is like. And I want that world to exist for her when she's old enough to realize that there weren't some love things that were happening. I want her to live in a world where what she said at 8 is true at 28 and at 38. So that's why tonight was so important.
And how does it feel right now to see this outpouring of support from the community and the event that took place tonight?
I mean, it was a tough week for me as a person. I had attacks on me for being half black and for being a lesbian as a candidate. And this outpouring of love tonight was exactly what I saw through this entire week. And it's exactly love like this that will prevail over the hate. And I think there was so much here that needed to be said. Intersectionality is so important to talk about. And I feel like people are going to leave this space feeling supported, loved, and seen for who they really are.
TC Pride Podcast on location in Loring Park on this very sad day. I'm here with
Karen Clark, State Representative, South Minneapolis.
Thank you. And could you please share with me some of your feelings about the events that took place this weekend, including maybe the outpouring of support that was shown here tonight in Loring Park?
All day today I felt scared, and of course sad and worried and just kind of unbelieving how hateful and terrible the killings were in Orlando. And I'd have to admit having some fear. This is Gay Pride Month. We're going to be out here. We're going to be celebrating Gay Pride, and this is also the sacred month of Ramadan. And what I began hearing in some of the news is really, again, this kind of theme of anti-Muslim rhetoric, and certainly that's what we heard from Donald Trump. But others, were much more thoughtful and thinking about how we need to come together. And I have to say, the gathering here tonight, the vigil here tonight, the whole gathering of this group was very healing for me. I feel very supported, and one of the things I called for is that we should, in the face of this sort of thing, we should celebrate who we are. We shouldn't be divided from each other. And I was able to invite my wonderful Muslim sister Farhio Khalif to come up on the stage with me and help say that message. I've been doing all today is farming. One of the things I do in my spare time is farm. So I was about an hour away doing that. And when Scott Dibble called me and let me know that this was happening, I thought, oh my God, I got to get there. And I thought on the way to I said to him, when we are in the parade on 2 weeks from today or yesterday, it's like, wow, it feels kind of scary, to expose ourselves, and yet that's what we absolutely have to do. We cannot be pushed back. We cannot be, prevented from celebrating who we are. So I feel this like a renewed resistance and celebration, and it's just really good. I'm grateful to this man right here because he helped pull this together, and I understand the governor gave a great speech as well, and others did. So I guess all in all, I'm grateful for the support and the healing that came to me personally. I needed to have this group of people say the things they did, and it was really strongly. Let's not let this hate crime divide us. Let's stay together and be strong and celebrate who we are.
Thank you very much. And the man that you were referring to, standing right next to you here, is Senator Dibble. Hello, Senator.
How are you?
We're with the Twin Cities Pride Podcast, and we're just asking folks for some of their feelings about the events that took place either over the weekend, the tragic events, of course, or about the outpouring of support that was shown here tonight in Loring Park.
Yeah. Well, it's really hard to even comprehend what happened in Orlando last night. I still find it just so difficult to contemplate the fact that we've lost 50 beautiful people, and 53 are fighting for their lives, and the families that are shattered, and just the scale of the tragedy is really, really hard to wrap my head around, and gone in and out of weeping and of course being very busy trying to pull this event together, which has been a little bit of comfort. Tonight was powerful coming together. I think the most important thing that happened was over 2,000 people showed up just to be together and try to understand what happened and to be in solidarity and to just love each other. The words that were spoken, of course, were very powerful about love and grace and acceptance and strength through difference. And we will prevail and we'll be stronger for this. I know that. It's just really, really hard right now.
Thank you to you both so much for your time and for sharing tonight. Thank you.